Audible? Am I audible?
Yes. Hey, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anuradha Chinta and working as a delivery consultant in AWS. And today my topic I'm going to cover like revolutionizing machine learning with PostgresSQL. How many of you know ML and what is PostgresSQL? Yeah. Even I know little, but I'll try to cover whatever I know. Okay. Um, Today agenda I'm going to talk is agenda machine learning and relational databases today, and how PostgresML simplifies machine learning, and how can we integrate ML with PostgreSQL, and available LLMs and how the connectivity options. Okay. Yeah. What is machine learning? Uh, can I get any responses? What is machine learning? And how it is going to help us? And just machine learning, most of the places we are using machine learning for sentiment analysis, image processing, and when text generations kind of like and translating language from one language to another language. There we are using machine learning. What exactly we are doing with machine learning? Normal traditional analyst, what they will do, they'll collect the data and they'll do some analysis on the data and they'll generate the reports. So what we are getting from the reports, we are getting what happened with the data, correct? With machine learning, what we are going to do, we are going to use the same data, but we are going to do predictions for future. That's what machine learning help us to predict the future from historical data. And if you know, if anyone are working on machine learning like ML ops, anyone has any idea ML ops, what it does? Mainly what it does, the machine learning lifecycle, like we'll collect the data, we'll process the data, we'll train the data with some model, and we'll test the data, and then once the testing is done, we'll deploy that model. This is the life cycle process of the machine learning. And what kind of data we are using for this machine learning, and what is normal types of data. Data we can collect in text format like a document, in images and video and audio, and as a tabular data. This is the different types of data which we use for machine learning. So normal data it is. And most of our business data nowadays resides in relational databases. How many relational databases we have? Like Oracle, SQL Server, and PostgresSQL. And how our application is going to do predictions with this data, that will exist. There are total main 6 steps involved in the ML application. Whenever we are building any ML application, we are doing 6 steps. What we are doing first, we are selecting the model and training the model. And we are writing some application code to read the data from database. And then we are formatting the data. Once we format the data for the ML model, each model consume the input data in different formats. So we have to format the data according to the model. Okay, and once the model consumes the data, it will generate the predictions, and whatever the output from the model will give to the application. Application will show to the user, and if you want, we can load the results into the database. These are the 6 steps involved when we are building any ML application. Okay, in this application, what exactly is happening? We are doing the training the data at offline. Like we are taking the data from database and we are giving to ML service, and using some tools we are training the data and we are giving the result back to application. Okay, it means all this training and predictions are happening in offline. Okay. I'm a database developer. As a database developer, I'm not aware of the any ML tools. If I want to train some model or if I want to use the model, I need to know some scripting language like Python or some other ML like SageMaker notebooks. Like that, I need to use some tool. But as a database developer, I don't know the technology. Then how my life is going to be easier to use the ML models? That's where this PostgresML extension, which is used in a database, it helps our lives easy, and it is going to do real-time predictions, not the offline. And most of the ML ops, if anyone is using ML ops, what they used to do, they used to build a complex ETL process to process the data, to format the data. Okay, and they have to build some infrastructure to deploy the models. So all these features, whatever I highlighted, these were simplified using the PostgresML extension. Okay. Okay. Previously, I showed 6 steps in a traditional ML application. Now, with this Postgres ML extension, those 3 steps become to 3 steps. Here, what is happening? Everything is happening in database. Here, first we'll request the model to give we'll configure all the models in the database, and we'll run a normal SQL query, like a select statement. We'll run that SQL query, and that SQL query will result me the model output, and will show that result to the application. So total 6 steps become to 3 steps using this extension. Okay, and this extension, what are the models it is supporting here? It is, I just listed some models. This is the model category, and this is the model name. Like different models we can access from the database itself. How we are going to access that, I'll cover in a small demo. Sorry if I'm fast, it's lunchtime, so I'm making it little fast. Okay, what is PGML extension? If most of the people who are working at Postgres, they are aware of the extension. There are plenty of extensions supported by Postgres, like PG Vector. Last time Nisha has talked to PG Vector, and here PGML is an extension name which we are going to use to achieve these ML capabilities in database. Okay, here what we need to do, first we have to check whether our database is already having the extension. If not, we can install the extension and we can load the data, because already database is having the data. So we can train a new models, like custom models. As per your project requirement, you can create a model, and you can use the open source models also. How we can use, I'll show you. And using execute queries, like select statements, we can access the models and we get the results. Okay. And what this PGML extension is going to create in the database, like other extensions, it is going to create some database objects, like these are the tables and functions. Some views also it is going to create. What are the use of these tables and functions, we can get to know in the demo part. These are the key tables and functions, I can say, and the tables, models, projects, and deployments. This will store the custom models, whichever we are creating and we are deploying. And these functions, to train a different model, we'll use the train, deploy, and predict functions. And to call that model, we'll use the transform function. Okay. Before jumping to demo, I'll just show you how the query looks like. Like if you see here, this is the query I'm trying to trigger in the database. What it is going to do a text classification. The task, I can say, it's a text category. Like whether you are looking for a summarization, or so you are looking for sentiment analysis, or you are looking at like a text generation kind of thing, that will show the task. And inputs, what is your input? Here, for example, I gave 2 inputs. What it is trying to do, like a sentiment analysis, it is performing. If you see the first one, it is like a positive sentence. So the model is resulting me, it's a positive sentence. The next one is like negative. It is giving me negative, and it is with a score. What this score is telling us is, if it is near to 1, means the model is more confident on the result. If it is near to 0, so model is giving the result as a negative, but it is not that much confident. That way, the model will result as the output. For time saving, I recorded my demo. I'll show that. Okay. not sharing. PPT only it is getting. Okay.
You just need to play.
Here the screen is not there.
Wait.
Excuse me.
Let's start the demo.
Can you hear?
To start the demo, first we need a database server. Yeah, correct. How to create the database server in the GitHub PostgresML GitHub repo? They have given the steps like here you can create a database account on a cloud or a self-hosted. For the demo, I use the self-hosted using the Docker run. This is the command I use to spin my database server. So here I spin my database server and I'm just checking what is the version of the extension. It gives 2.10.0. So my database has a PGML extension now. If this query is not returning anything, means your database doesn't contain the extension. Then
Okay, here what I did in my demo is like we have a gateway repo where we can see the commands of PostgresML extension. First, we need to. There are two options we can host a Postgres SQL server for this extension using a Docker or using a cloud. For my demo, I just used the Docker run statement, which is a self-hosted database server it will create. It created me the server, and I'm just checking what is the version of the PGML extension it created. Okay, here it is like 2.10. If the extension is not, if the extension is not there, we have a create statement for the extension.
Using the statement create extension. Okay, this is the statement to create an extension in your database. Okay, once the database and extension is ready, in this demo, I'm going to cover like how we can call the different models and how we can execute the model capabilities in database with the data and how we can create a custom model and deploy that model in the database. These things today I'll cover in the demo. Okay. Yeah. Once the database is ready, we can connect to the database with the different ways like a PSQL client or pgadmin we can use. Here, this is the PSQL and pgadmin this is the one here. I just connected and executed the queries for time's sake. Okay. Yeah, if you see, this is the object explorer for my database. This is my database. And whenever we create an extension, this extension is coming with under extensions, you can see that extension. If you see here, you can see the details of the extension. If you see here, this is the extension details. Okay, whenever the extension is created in a database, the extension will create a schema with the extension name. For example, here this is the schema it got created. Under this schema, some objects will be created with the extension, along with the extension. Like if it comes to PGML, it created some tables, some views, and some functions. Around 120 functions were created. If you see, all these functions are related to ML capabilities like chunk, deploy, embed, and like predict, transform, train, like that different functions are created. I'll go through some functions, how to execute and what is the purpose of those functions we can discuss in this demo. Like this is the object structure under the PDML schema. Okay, once the extension is created, automatically the schema objects are getting created. Okay, now to save the time, I just created some tables and loaded with the data, and I'll show you those table scripts. See, if you come, these are the tables I just created, like hotel reviews and language pages and some incident reports and the product details. Okay. First, will start with the text generation, like how we can utilize the ML model, PGML extension to create the text generation.
See, normally, if we write any ML application, we need to call the model and we need to give the prompt, correct? The same way here in database also, we are calling the model as GPT model and we are passing the input, like give me some information about the machine learning. So here my model is returning me this data, like it gives some information about machine learning. This is like one of the model of text generation. Like that we can call different models in database, like for sentiment analysis and for text summarization and language translation. For that we have different models we can call. Okay, this is one example. I'm just forwarding. Yeah. Okay, if you see this, this is one of the data where they are giving some hotel reviews. Like they are giving like positive review and negative review. On top of that, we are going to run a model which will give us the sentiment analysis, whether it is a positive feedback or negative feedback or neutral feedback. Okay. If you see here, I just gave one. This is the reviews given by some customers. When I run the model, here I use the model as category as text classification, and that is the model I use. And here I'm passing the whatever the review text users has given, that I'm passing to the model, and model is returning me the sentiment label, whether it is a positive feedback, negative feedback, and neutral. Like that they are getting. See, if you see neutral feedback, they are giving positive plus negative, like some positives and some negatives. That the model has considered as a neutral. And the score, depending upon the score, we can see the confidence level of the model. Uh, like this sentiment analysis we can perform, and language translation also it will do. Like if you see, this is one of the input for the language translation, for just for validation sake, in my table I kept English text and French text, and I'm giving this data to my model, and here I'm asking the model to translate from English to French. Okay, here it is giving me like what input I passed, translate English to French, and I'm passing the English text. So it converted to French language. So like this we can call any model, open source model from database itself, and we can get the result from the model. And this is like how we can use the existing models. If we want to create your own models, like customer models, how this PGML extension is going to help us. I'll just show. Before I just started the demo, I don't have any custom models. By default, with this extension, I got one model which is like transform. Once I started building my custom model, the model I can show you what models I created. For just to train the model, I created a one table like dimensions table, and I given some 50,000 records of data to train that model. Okay.
The data. Now we'll train the data. Okay.
This is
Here
basic training.
I'm just going to do. Okay. Let me do here. Okay. So this is a basic training. Okay. Previously, what we get only one model. Now I created another model with the algorithm as XGBoost. If you see here, I'm passing the algorithm and I'm passing the table on what we need to train this model, and this is the project I created. Like different models I can create under the project, and the category I'm giving as a regression. Okay, this is basic model training. Okay, we can train a model with pre-processing also, like here. Okay, here in this I'm using a algorithm as random forest. Previously I used XGBoost, now I'm using the random forest.
PostgresML extension, like it supports around 50 algorithms to train your own models. Like here in my example, I took XGBoost and random forest. Like this, it supports 50 more algorithms to train your own models. And here, the people who are working with the models, they may be aware of hyperparameters, correct, which will tune the model. So here PGML extension supports us hyperparameters tuning also. The next slide queries are like using hyperparameters only.
Okay, let it get execute. Okay, it got executed. Previously, two models, correct? Now you can see third model as random forest. Okay, and now basic training and pre-process training is done. Now I can specify the hyperparameters. I am not going to deep into the hyperparameters. Okay, so hyperparameters we are passing here, and it got executed.
Like we are choosing the parameters, passing hyperparameters also, correct. Like this I can train my model. Once I train my model, the next step is testing the model. So how I am going to test? PGML extension provides a function called predict. With that function we can see what result the model is going to give. I'll just
The model, different models, so we need to choose the best model here. Once
Yeah, this is the statement which we'll use to predict whether our model is working properly or not. Here, the number which I'm passing is the model ID. Like I will be having multiple models, so whatever the model I want to use, I can pass that model ID and I can get the result. Okay. Like this way, once I test my models, I can deploy my model using deploy function. Okay. Yeah. Once I deploy my model, I can see that my
models
model.
and only one project previously. Now I can see this is the project name which I'm giving where training the model, and these are the project IDs and model deployments like we did correct. The same.
Okay. Once we deploy our models, the model details we can see in the deployments table, and each model snapshot will be captured in the snapshot table. So these models we can use once the result is okay, and if the result is not like matching to the exact value, we can train with more data with to that models, and we can create more versions of the models, and we can make use of the better version in our predict query. Like this we can make use of ML capabilities in database itself instead of going to any other ML application. So it solves most of the performance problems because it's like it's happening on the real data, not on the offline data. And there is no, like a database developer, I don't go and learn Python to build a model or to train a model. So it helps a database developer to bring the ML capabilities to his in front of him itself, I can. So the PGML extension helps the mostly database people, I can say, to utilize the ML capabilities. This one I would like to cover in demo. I am little fast, I know. It's a lunchtime, so I try to finish as early as possible. Yeah. These are the reference links for this. And mostly this PostgresML extension, if you want to find any information about this extension, there is a GitHub repo. With there you can go and find, and you can test, and you can play with that model using the self-host Docker statement by installing in your local machine, and you can play with that. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, please, I am ready to take the questions. Yeah, please.
How about we put up a logical figure? And I mean, this is just an idea that we are working with the new prospects and customers. For most of the AI inferences, right? Does it make sense to have the PGML extension on a production database or a logical replica of production database?
What I can see with my experience, like if it is a fresh database, if it is a fresh database, we can go with this extension and we can use. If already existing database, how this ML integration we can do it, we have to create the database, we have to do the logical replication of data. On top of that only this ML, PGML extension is going to work.
So the question is, does it make sense from a availability and production stress testing standpoint?
Yeah,
right? Does
need a
does
test.
add any overhead to production database?
Definitely, IO consumption is there because here we are going to call the ML models, open source models, and all. I can see IO consumption is increasing.
So, PGML also takes care of the tokenization and
Yes, it comes with the busy vector extension. So if you see the functions created with this PGML extension, it has chunk embed. Those functions also it is there. So it is PG vector and PGML. It's a combination.